Hey guys, Brandon Zerby here, and if you didn't know, you're about to know. Organic food costs about 10% more than conventional food. And on top of this, the European Union Council regulation doesn't include any mention of organic foods having a higher nutritional quality or healthiness compared to conventional food. And despite this, many consumers still perceive organic food to be healthier than conventional food and are willing to pay a premium for it. Now, there is some evidence for decreased pesticide residue on organic food, but even the significance of these differences is questionable because actual levels of contamination in organic and conventional food levels are well below acceptable limits. So, does eating organic have any benefits? Is its nutritional quality the same as conventional food? Do the minuscule amounts of pesticides really not matter at all? And are there even potential downsides to eating organic that you want to avoid? Well, let's get into it. Organic food is produced from plant raw materials obtained without the use of artificial fertilizers and pesticides. And organic animal products come from animals that are bred in environments close to their natural state without the use of antibiotics. Because of this, there are no GMOs or genetically modified organisms, and all processing excludes the use of radiation and most food additives. But although pesticides shouldn't be used in the production of organic food, a study from the European Union showed that 6.5% of organic product samples still contained some pesticide residues compared to 44% of conventional produce. So by no means is this system perfect. But do these processes employed by organic farming have any health benefits to humans? Well, because of the lack of biomarkers that measure exposure to potentially harmful pesticides, artificial fertilizers, and food additives, it can be difficult to study, and results are prone to measurement errors. Beyond that, people who typically buy organic food tend to eat more vegetables, fruit, whole grains, and less meat. They tend to live a healthier lifestyle by being more physically active and smoking less. And all these factors make it difficult to determine the role that organic food plays compared to all the rest of the healthy behaviors. But still, several studies have attempted to control for these factors, and what they found was that organic food consumers report fewer allergies, less weight gain, and reduced incidence of chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Organic foods are also associated with reduced risk for cancer of nearly everyone. But why would we see any of these benefits? Is the nutritional makeup of organic and conventional food different? Are the micronutrients and macronutrients different at all? Well, a study was performed in Italy comparing 569 different pairs of organic versus conventional food, including whole foods like vegetables, beans, and fruit, and even processed food like crackers and cereal. What they did was compare the nutritional quality of the food based on the nutrients found on the respective food labels, like calories, fat, carbs, and protein. And what this survey indicated was that with few exceptions, organic products were not characterized by a better nutritional profile than conventional ones. Consequently, the organic claim should not be interpreted by consumers as a proxy of healthier foods than regular food. So whether you're eating organic or conventional food, you're consuming the same number of calories and macronutrients. The fat, the protein, the carbohydrates are all the same between each food. But this study only focused on the evaluation of mandatory nutritional labeling information, which does not include other nutritional components like vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and phytochemicals. So what does the research say about all these other components? While the information isn't exhaustive, the number of vitamins and minerals will obviously vary from crop to crop and farmer to farmer. But it appears organic varieties do provide greater levels of vitamin C, iron, magnesium, and phosphorus. As I mentioned, the evidence isn't crystal clear on this, and the difference between those vitamins and minerals isn't that significant. What's more interesting, though, is that organic foods tend to provide higher levels of antioxidants and phytochemicals. This could be because organic foods don't use high-dose synthetic fertilizer, and therefore the plants prioritize defense against pests and disease. This defense priority could increase their antioxidant content. But still, despite the possible increase in antioxidants and select vitamins and minerals, on average, organic food and conventional food have about the same nutritional profile, and it doesn't appear that organic food adds any extra healthy benefits. But even if organic food doesn't add any healthy benefits, could eliminating pesticides and chemical fertilizers reduce our risk for negative health outcomes? Well, the consumption of organic foods does reduce our exposure to nitrate and pesticide residues. However, the significance of these differences is questionable because actual levels of contamination in organic and conventional foods are generally well below the accepted limit. What may be more important is how close you live to these high chemical and pesticide farms. Living close to these farms can dramatically increase your risk for cancer and various neurological diseases. But even though many studies pass over pesticide and chemical exposure due to it being below the acceptable limits, I question this argument. I mean, to determine if a certain pesticide or chemical exposure is actually safe for human use, what you'd need to do is a randomized controlled trial where you have certain people consuming conventional foods that have that chemical exposure and other people who are consuming the same exact foods that are organic without that chemical exposure. And then you need to carry that study out for years and decades to figure out the long-term results. And doing these studies would not only be costly, but potentially unethical. I mean, who would want to be in the conventional food group knowing that possible pesticide and chemical exposure could increase their risk for detrimental health outcomes? No one. And that's what makes it difficult to study a lot of these pesticides or various chemicals. What we do know is that when you eat conventional food, there's a significantly higher amount of pesticide that can be found in your urine. Switch to eating organic, and those pesticides disappear. Switch back to conventional food again, and the pesticides reappear. And what can be even scarier is the circle of poison. This is where pesticides have been banned from the United States after we found out they were toxic to human health. But even though they are banned here, companies within the United States are still allowed to export these toxic pesticides to other countries. And if you thought this was cruel already, the food grown by those toxic pesticides are then allowed to be imported back into the United States and stocked on our grocery shelves. And that is the circle of poison. This concept, along with the fact that many pesticides which were once considered safe are now considered to be toxic, and the fact that organic food contains less nitrates and potentially toxic metals, has me worried. For these reasons, I do buy organic food whenever possible, even after I just graduated college and had $100,000 of debt, because to me, the health risks just aren't worth it. But just because I recommend eating organic whenever possible, it's important that we don't overestimate the benefits. And I say this because many people do, and it can cause confusion that can lead to potential downsides to eating organic. For example, people struggling to cut calories for weight loss might turn to organic food and possibly consume more calories than they otherwise would. This can be demonstrated in a study where people judged the calorie content of organic and non-organic Oreo cookies. Participants evaluating Oreo cookies made with organic flour and sugar provided lower calorie judgments than did participants evaluating conventional Oreos. This effect was obtained even though participants' attention had been drawn to the nutrition facts labels that correctly conveyed that one serving organic or conventional Oreo cookies contained 160 calories. Presumably, the participants inferred that if organic cookies contain 160 calories, then the calorie content of conventional cookies is likely to be higher. But as I mentioned earlier, the calorie content of both organic and conventional food is the same. In addition, participants considered it more appropriate to consume Oreo cookies more frequently when they were organic than when they were not. On top of thinking organic cookies contain less calories and are more appropriate to indulge on, people eating organic also feel it gives them more license to skip a workout. For example, if you give people a conventional dessert, they feel more obligated to exercise compared to if they didn't eat a dessert. I can understand that. But give them an organic dessert, and now they feel even better about skipping their workout compared to if they didn't eat a dessert at all. I can't understand this one. I'll also mention that there isn't a lot of evidence on organic foods tasting better than conventional foods either. I mean, if you give people wine that's labeled as organic and non-organic, then consumers say they prefer the taste of the organic wine, but if you blind them, they can't tell the difference at all. So, the placebo effect at its finest. So here are my final thoughts. Eating organic doesn't make you significantly healthier because the nutritional composition of conventional and organic foods is relatively similar. But what it does do is reduce your exposure to potentially harmful pesticides and chemicals that could have negative health outcomes. And I didn't talk about this, but if you eat animal products, which I don't for health reasons, then it may be even more important that you choose organic because that way you're avoiding the antibiotics given to animals and you're avoiding the bioamplification effect. This is where the conventional foods are eaten by animals, causing a higher concentration of those pesticides, chemicals, and heavy metals in that animal. And then you're eating that animal with its high concentration of toxins. So if you are eating animal products, then it's probably even more important that you do choose organic. But in either case, eating organic isn't just a magic pill. Just because you're eating organic doesn't mean you can eat more food or less healthy food or exercise any bit less. It's just one component to living healthier and happier, and a component that I follow despite the added costs. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the channel. If you did like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. It helps out the channel and lets me know what kind of content I should be producing. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer all of those. And if you want to see more videos, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Lastly, I offer a free health kit, which has my top 10 sleep tips, one whole foods plant-based recipe, and a mobility workout that you can stream on any device. That is free. There's a link down in the description for that. It also gets you signed up to my weekly newsletter, where I provide the 3 most important things that I've read, watched, or listened to within the past week. All of that completely free. Link down in the description if you're interested in that. Thanks again for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys next week.